absolutely have my permission to hang up the phone on anyone that raises their voice with them. So when Patricia contacts you, please just try to get the information that she needs. And I mean, you can talk to her. She's a great person. She's really awesome. But again, please don't be difficult, because she said she did talk to you and you kind of yelled at her, which I understand. You are in like a heightened, high risk situation. You feel like you're being attacked. I get it. You're very emotional right now, but please do not mistreat my support staff, because you can say whatever you want to me, but they don't get paid enough to put up with that. Okay? So that's all I can do is ask you. But you are an adult. I'm just asking you to respect my support staff so we can get your case moving forward, because that is our goal.
Okay, I was just questioning why, if the case was supposed to be transferred in November, and why they got it in February, and a lot of things haven't been answered, and I get gaslit and blamed. That's for a party that doesn't have rights. You can't. If I'm able to speak. Typically, so you hear someone with 20 false arrests and someone altering documents, felonies, that they could get in some area a little compassion, but I'm deprived of that. People start arguments and blame me for it. And you're right, this is highly, highly, highly traumatic. And then to have an inability to get therapy, even at a mental hospital, while you're there on false pretenses and other reasoning. So, yes, I will try. I let things bother me because I'm traumatized and violated I can't see my kids, and I keep saying, please, please, please help me. And no one on the planet's doing it. They let you sit in it for several years. So you're right. I do have to try to work on not being so traumatized. And when people push buttons to deliberately try to upset you and get away with it year after year, there has to come a common ground where you realize it is what it is. There's been no felonies. There's not going to be anything done until people get their charges. So there was just, I don't understand why, I know you didn't want me to talk about that incident where they altered documents, so we won't talk about that. But you're right. I don't need to let these things bother me. I wish I can get therapy, but it is what it is. No felonies, nowhere to be found. Okay, ma'am.
Okay, and then so I did want to mention a couple more things that you asked about, because we can help with it. Again, if you are actually filed like a notice to vacate, especially if you're actually filed with an eviction notice from an actual court that your apartment or rental property is filing against you, please put in an application by calling, whoever you called. In either our legal aid line or our office directly. It will be considered an emergency, so your case will be filtered through quickly to an attorney. If you are served an eviction, we can help with that.
Well, yes.
Another thing that I heard you mention was about custody for your kids. We also do help with family law cases. So if you're seeking a modification of your custody, even with your criminal record, we might be able to see if there's something we could do about some sort of limited visitation or restricted visitation.
Can I ask a question? What do you mean, even with my criminal record?
Well, because I heard you saying it's something that your record is why you can't see your kids. Is that what you were saying? So if that is the case,
I'm just not being heard. Okay, so I do appreciate this information. So you did say that you saw felonies? Plural?
Yes.
Okay, what are the felonies?
It's on the document that I sent.
I only saw one, the one out of Denton that was supposed to be a misdemeanor. I only saw one, the one out of Denton that was supposed to be a misdemeanor, and I have forced to take the felony.
There was more than that.
Can you please tell me, ma'am? Because I don't. They get to just put anything they want on records. No accountability. If you're able to tell me, I really appreciate that. I don't have rights. Just like they just threw something on my driving record.
To be honest. Okay, I'm going to try to do this quickly. I do want to go over it with you if that's what you'd like to go over real quickly.
Yes, I appreciate
it. But you have to let me do it quickly because I have a doctor's appointment for my son all the way across town.
Okay,
and then away, so I do have to get off the phone soon.
Okay, and while you're looking at that, I'd like to talk about the eviction. I was in jail on false charges and was evicted, and they knew that I was in a domestic violence crisis, and you don't get evictions when you're fleeing a domestic violence situation, I'm told. They knew the apartment company.
you have to tell that you have to go in there. There's a whole it's a bottle of protection, but you have to go and inform them.
I did.
So if you weren't able to do that
I
because you were
did,
in
ma'am.
jail,
I'm not being
then
heard. I told them I was in a domestic
yeah,
violence crisis, and they gave me a break on my work. They knew I was in a domestic violence crisis. It was on my lease. It should have been somewhere documented.
right. So it sounds like you might be correct. And we probably, again, unfortunately, we could have probably helped you at the time. But if the eviction already happened, I mean, there's nothing, we can't put you back in the home. You know what I
I
mean?
don't think I think we're having a miscommunication again. I was in jail on false charges when I was evicted. They
No,
wouldn't let me out with
so
time
as
served.
far as
I was in jail
as
with
far as
time
the
served,
eviction
and
is
they wouldn't let
concerned,
me out. As my attorney, I know that you get upset when I expose, certain things. But if I was in jail with time served and they knew I was in a domestic violence crisis and they wouldn't release me, what can be done?
are you asking me about your apartment complex, or are you asking me
What
about
happened
the
was I
police
was
officer?
evicted and I was in a domestic violence crisis that the apartment was complex was fully aware of, and I communicated with them in advance before I moved in the apartment, and then I wrote them letters from jail telling them that I was in jail with time served, and they wouldn't release me in my domestic violence situation. So I'm wondering if anything that
Okay.
could be done, because they're charging me $7,000. They kept me in there so the eviction would be astronomical. So they didn't evict me; they waited, so it was a real high amount. I think it was deliberate.
Well, I think okay. Um, I feel like this is going to be a long explanation. So the waiting was actually in your favor. The waiting is so because of your VAWA protection, they were hoping they wouldn't have to evict you and that you would get out in time for you to catch up and pay. But if you were incarcerated for longer than I can't remember the actual term, but there is a time limit. So if you were incarcerated up to a certain point, we can't force, the law can't force apartments. VAWA is not enough of a protection for an apartment to just stay vacant, right, and unpaid. I can't, off the top of my head, remember the actual amount of days. I want to say it's a month, maybe two, that VAWA will keep it open. But if you were incarcerated longer than that, that's why they waited, was to give you in favor of your VAWA protection. But if at that point you still were not able to pay your rent, then they are within their rights to evict you at that point, which is
Even
what
though I
it
was in
sounds
jail
like
with,
they did.
did you hear that I was in jail on false charges?
Right, but that's not their job to dispute whether or not they were false charges. Their job is to give you the VAWA protection and then evict you if, in fact, you're still unable to pay your rent past the expiration date.
Okay, so there's nothing or is there anything that could be done?
I don't know about contesting the debt now. Again, maybe at the time we might have been able to get it reduced or waived.
At what time? If I'm in jail on false charges, isn't it pretty much impossible?
When the eviction suit was filed.
So can they evict? I thought that if I'm fleeing abuse, you can't get evicted.
Right, but it's not forever. Right, so traditionally speaking, let's say anybody gets arrested, they go to jail for 10 years. The apartment's not going to hold your apartment for 10 years.
Right,
you know
but I thought they put you out and not give you a $7,000 eviction fee.
Because they did hold it open to give you that VAWA protection. They tried not to evict you. That's why they waited so long.
Well, I don't know.
They wouldn't have to.
I thought, but like I said, I don't have rights, and someone paid a lot of money to ruin me. I thought that if you were fleeing a domestic violence crisis and you disputed it, that they couldn't hold you with those charges if you were fleeing abuse. That's what I thought. And that $7,000 I would not be responsible of paying. In fact, the lady at the apartment said that I can get those possibly waived, and then like a army full of other people then retracted on the services. Then she lied and said someone was calling her, fake that she cried. People just really wouldn't believe what I went through, what I go through. And then I never had a response.
This may not be impossible.
I'm sorry?
This may not be impossible. This may not be impossible to dispute. But what makes it difficult is it's no longer an active court case for us to go in front of the judge. Disputing that is now technically disputing the debt. So you would really be disputing the debt with the debt collector / apartment complex that's saying you owe the debt now. So it's not impossible. I guess you could dispute it and cite your vow of protection and just see if they waive it. But there's nothing that a court can do because it's not an active case anymore, if that makes sense. Like, this is not a case where we're trying to put you back in the home.
No,
if it was,
it's trying to establish the fact that I was fleeing a domestic violence situation and currently undergoing one that unfortunately the government was behind and basically kidnapped, left in jail with time served, so I lose everything. But repetitively, and it's not addressed, and I'm not hurt. Nothing has been done. But I appreciate you for giving me all of the assistance that you said, and I hope that it goes through, and I can just pray and do what I have to do to expose it, because I don't think an abuser should have this much power to abuse and control this much of my life and with no consequences.
Okay. So just real quickly, I did misspeak. It is just the one felony. All the rest are just misdemeanor Class A's and Class B's, and then your Class C's that we already discussed. So it looks like it is just the one felony. So you were right. It's not multiple. Wait, this is the one I was talking about that I think became a felony. Nope. It's still disclosed as a misdemeanor.
So I don't have a.
It's just the one.
Oh, so you see one felony.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just can expose it. Maybe someone will care that a court took bribes and altered court documents. Okay. Twice, at least. Well, way more than that. But like with my daughter. Oh yes, that's another thing. I just repetitive not being heard. Blatant lies were said to keep me away from my daughter, and people have more power than me, and I have not been able to do anything to combat the corruption. It's not that I did something. I told you that I have 20 false arrests and about altered court documents, but since, it is what it is, people haven't been held accountable. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Okay, so I will let Patricia know, and she'll probably contact you before the end of the week.
Okay. Okay, and I do apologize for whatever she's talking about. I don't, because like I said, I go through a lot. I think that I was asking questions and she was deflecting on something. But okay, like I said, this experience is traumatic, so I don't even know. I'm exhausted. Okay.
I understand, and I'm sorry it happened to you. I wish, like I said, there was more we can do. But what we can do, we will do. If you continue to work with us. So we'll get those documents to you, just get them back to us, and then I will talk to you soon.
Okay, and you said I can do all that through the email. It's electronic. Is that correct?
Yeah, Patricia will go over it. Yeah, Patricia will call you. They need to be filled out and completed, which she will do with you over the phone, so you don't have to come to the office. And then after that, she'll email it to you, and she'll go over that with you again for you to sign, and then it'll kick right back to her.
Okay, and she said I was being difficult with her?
I don't know if she was saying you were she just said that the conversation was very difficult, and then you started to raise your voice, and then she wasn't able to really get anything clear or have a clear and productive conversation. She's not upset. She's not the type of person to get upset. She just was letting me know that she had to hang up because she couldn't even finish the conversation. So that's all I was trying to say. If you could just please be as cooperative as you can. I know I hate when people say that to me too, but in this situation, like I said, I just don't want my support staff to be kind of dragged out. And like I said, she'll get those documents for you, and we'll get things done, and we'll hopefully get at least something done for you that could maybe help you out. At least your license will be restored for sure by the time we're done with you.
Oh, and you said all those other 6 cases that you can get expunged?
They will be expunged, totally gone from your records like it never happened. So basically every single Dallas County charge and arrest. So really the only things that will be left are the things on the other document that I sent you, those misdemeanors and that felony. So
yeah, hopefully I haven't been able to get legal representation, so maybe someone will hear, what I had to endure and do something about it. Because those are criminal activity. I know you don't like me talking about it as well as no one else. So, okay.
Well, it's not just that. It's just because they're not eligible. But
I'm
Good
just
luck
not
to
being
you if you
heard. If
find
someone
somebody to
alter
help you.
court documents, I don't understand why people will start arguments and blame me for wanting accountability for someone committing crimes. And if someone being able to abuse so much power that you get tortured in jail and at hospitals, repetitively ignored. So I guess I just find it disturbing, and I raise my voice out of the trauma, but no one else seems to find it as disturbing as I do. And so they just let me sit in it. Okay.
Okay, Miss Clark. Well, I hope that things turn for you. But again, we'll do what we can. And have a good day.
Okay, and moment, ma'am. One other thing. So, do I need to call the legal line and tell them about the eviction, or is that something that you assist with?
Oh, go ahead and put in an application. Like I said, I don't know what we can do, if anything at all, because it's at this point you're just disputing the debt, and that's not necessarily a legal matter because there's nothing we would file with the court. It's really just disputing the debt with the debt collector. So you can actually do that on your own through Equifax or any of the 3 credit bureaus. They'll help you. They'll dispute it for you. You just type it up. Like if you have Credit Karma, you can dispute it or go through Equifax and click dispute. You can type up the notes and stick to the fact that you were a domestic violence victim, and then or call the apartments directly like you said you did, and then hopefully they'll connect you to corporate who
Yeah,
they can release the debt.
I'll need to
Because like I
call
said,
back,
it's
but
not really not a legal court filing. It's just a debt dispute.
okay. Let me call them back. Okay, thank you.
You want to talk to corporate. You want to talk to the apartment complex about talking to corporate about disputing the debt.
Yeah,
That's
I
who
had
will
spoke
release
with
it.
them, and then the lady started an argument to get out of it. But it is what it is. Like previously addressed, I don't need to let these things upset me. But yes, I'll try to get a hold of her and see if she is willing to give me corporate's information. Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay,
Bye, Ms. Clark.
bye. So you don't have the number to corporate?
No, we don't have. We are not provided that information since we're only from a contact center. So we only have the phone number to the office.
Okay,
And
what's
they
that
may
number?
have the phone number to corporate.
They're not answering the
Phone
phone.
number is the phone number I have here for the office is 9.
Can you get them on the phone?
I'm not able to transfer calls though from my end. That's why I can only give the number.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, how can I help you?
Yes, I have had trouble with Interlace. The first time they were supposed to be giving me some rental assistance, and then they ducked and dodged me, and then they evicted me and ducked and dodged me and haven't been answering the phone. And then when they finally answered the phone, I had other issues. I keep repeatedly calling to get corporate's number, and they're not answering. They've done this multiple times. So I don't know how to be able to get a hold of them. They never would tell me anything about the eviction until a long time later. They kept hanging up in my face. And then they retracted on giving me rental assistance and corruption.
Well, I'm actually part of a central office. You're correct. Regarding with your concern, our on-site team is the best department who can help you. But may I know what's the number you have? Is it the one ending in 955?
No, it was weeks that they weren't answering for me. Weeks.
And have you tried to call or leave a voicemail?
I do. I don't get my calls returned, so I don't really leave a lot of voicemails. I don't get them returned. Do you have corporate's number? Pattern. You have corporate's number?
We only have here the number of the property. We only have one number here.
I don't know what to do.
If you would like, I can also provide you the email of the property so you can also email them.
Email, there's no anything done for misconduct when they won't answer the phone and corruption? Nothing can be done regarding that? Nothing can be done about security standing up and trying to intimidate me for trying to get rental assistance? And then security putting me out again? Nothing can be done?
Well, ma'am, I'm actually part of a central office. I really want to help you with your concern, but we don't have an option to that because we are only helping the on-site team, giving the leasing information. The only way to contact them is to call them directly. But if no one is available, you can leave a voicemail. Someone will get back to you once they become available.
Okay, I'll try it. Thank you.
You please
No, not
listen
answering.
carefully to the
I left a message for the apartment. So in the past, what has happened, someone is monitoring everything that happens with me. So they eventually interrupt any help that anyone possibly can give me. So with the job search, I had a bus pass, I had a little more freedom, and I was excited about getting a job that was interrupted. No one will give me a bus pass now. So any kind of help, like I said, no matter how minute, is interrupted.